Experimental Unit Clone Force 99. The defective clones with desirable mutations. They call themselves the Bad Batch.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Empire Radio Podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
And we made it.
We're here.
We're alive.
Well, yeah.
I mean, what?
You're more disappointed that we're alive or excited that we're alive than
that's always worth celebrating. So good job, guys. We made it. But what I was implying was that we made it to the season finale of the fan fiction, as you can see.
Yep. Right.
Background. Yep. If you're watching on Twitch or on YouTube after the fact, I've got the thumbnail for that video as my background.
It says final.
Yeah.
Good finale, old actually.
Yeah.
Well, sure. Yes. Okay.
I made the letters this time because it's a special episode.
Awesome.
But before we get into the nitty-gritty of the episode, I want to remind everybody that I've already kind of mentioned this, but we have a Twitch and we have YouTube, and these things go hand in hand. So here's what happens. Tuesday nights, as close to 8 p.m. Central as we can get it. Sometimes there are slight delays. But it's close to 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. The rest of the time, you can. There's a Google calculator online for you to do that. But we go live on Twitch and actually catch the recording of every episode live as it's happening with me, Jeremiah, and Drew. And then shortly after we finish the episodes, they are uploaded to our YouTube channel, Empire Radio, a Star Wars podcast. So if you can't catch the live streams, we do have some fans that are not in the United States, and there's a massive time difference. We actually, speaking of which, we do have one, if what I'm reading is correct, in the Twitch stream right now that went to bed early and woke up at like 3 a.m. because they're in the UK and they wanted to catch a live stream.
That's what's up. That's dedication right there.
UK or I thought it was Austria.
Maybe it is. Honestly,
I think it's Austria.
I will probably get that wrong, and I'm so sorry. It's not personal. I have a lot going on. Sometimes I read things in the Discord too fast. But anyways, if you can't make the live stream, you can watch it on YouTube after the fact. And another thing, we have a Discord. I just mentioned that. If you want to join that, the link to join is in the bio on our Instagram, as well as a pinned Facebook post. And
confirm that it is Austria, by the way.
It is Austria.
Perfect.
Oof. Sorry about that. Anyways, normally I try to get those things down really, really well. But anyways, so you can join our Discord, and it's been a blast. It's been a blast so far. Yeah. We've had a lot of fun. We've loved getting to know you guys and girls, and talking Star Wars. We've had some great opinions. We've had some content suggestions. We've had some really funny memes, some of which
some of them are at my expense, but whatever.
I don't think he's here in the chat, but you know who you are. We're talking to you. Specifically, keep those coming because they're really funny. Anyways, what we're trying to say is there are more ways to interact with us if you'd like to in real time, yes. mostly. So check out our Twitch streams, twitch.tv/Empire Radio. You can go to YouTube at Empire Radio, a Star Wars podcast, and you can join our Discord. My brother-in-law, surprise, fun fact, joined the other day.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
So he's there now, and he's also reading through Light of the Jedi, which we've been having great discussions on that, spoiler-free discussions on that too. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Which did you guys finish?
No,
I just finished or started part 3.
I have not finished yet. I will be finished by next week, but I got the audiobook on Libby, not a sponsor. And so I am going to be listening to it now.
To
It's
try to
so
burn
much
through
better.
it?
Yeah, it's so much better if you listen to it and read at the same time
100%.
because you get the sound effects.
That's
And for
how I
those of you,
prefer Star Wars books, personally.
yeah, for those of you really quickly that don't know, you can get Libby. I think it's just a US thing, but you can get Libby. If you have a library card, you put in your library card and you can access your libraries, the corresponding library's entire library of audiobooks for free.
Interesting.
So it's like Audible, but sometimes you have to wait longer, depending on what the availability is. But I love it. My hold came up. I saw that real quick and I snagged it. So, anyways,
Well,
so
I
now
finished it, so.
Ooh, weird flex, but okay.
you,
Steal
were
it
you
from
reading?
mine.
Were you reading at work, Drew?
I was.
Paid
was.
to read Star Wars. Let's think of that.
Dang.
Some America right there.
America.
All right. Well, on that note, we are going to fly over to the next segment of the podcast. We're just going to get straight into it.
All right. So here we are. Episode 7 and 8 tonight, the finale. So where did we leave off? Well, last week we talked about how they figured out that the biochip was spliced between human. Yes.
Really quickly, what would you say right now to people who have not, for whatever reason, heard the other 3 episodes, Jeremiah?
If you haven't listened to anything yet, or missing any of the episodes previous, you probably don't want to listen to this because
But
No.
until you get caught up and then you can listen to us later.
Yeah.
But this is going to be like the juiciest episodes coming up, and so none of it's going to make sense unless you know the rest of this.
Yeah, so this is your official Jeremiah's $500 million lottery winning Bad Batch fan fiction spoiler alert.
Yep.
So you have been warned.
Yep. So we learned that the biochip, the inhibitor chip in the clones, was a splice between human DNA and Nexu DNA, which is the feline cat from episode 2, Attack of the Clones, in the arena scene. And so they went on a hunt for them. They go get some sample of an actual Nexu. So they found a nest of them, got in a big bad fight, and they got wrecked. And but they are able to escape, blah blah blah, or should I say boom boom boom, because apparently that's the thing. And then the next
that was
episode,
funny. That was really funny.
And the next episode was they needed to try out their using the nano droids on live clones to see how they would work. And so they lost a lot of clones in that operation because they didn't get complete info on the place that they went to. And there was a clone commando there that just wrecked all the good clones. And we find out later that this clone commando was Gregor, who we know is with Rex and Wolf in Rebels. And so Wolf and Gregor have both been saved. Their biochips have been removed. And so this is where we left off last week. And technically we left off with Babu Frick being loaded onto a ship and being brought to Kijimi. He served his purpose. Now he's working with Spice Runners and Kijimi doing their thing. So this is also, it kind of ended with we need to contact Wolf so he can figure out how we can get on Camino. And so this is where we're at. Any questions? Any last minute theories before we jump in?
Well, okay. So I will say for those of you that don't remember, very quickly, My prediction is that we are going to see the initial ending of the clones being used for the Empire. And I think it's going to be the Bad Batch that's going to do it. And I think we're going to lose someone. I don't know who or someone's, but I at least I think one of the members is going to be gone.
All right.
And obviously it can't be Gregor. It can't be like Rex or Gregor, unless you somehow found a way to write in them being revived from the dead.
Well,
which
could
stranger
just-
things have happened
Just
in
clone
Star
him,
Wars.
and then
I mean, it's
Well.
Star Wars, but they didn't fall off into a hole. So if they fell,
That's true.
then they would be alive. But
That's
they
true.
didn't fall. So
Drew, any last second predictions?
no.
All right. So I'll jump right into it. So season 2, episode 7, The Last Batch. That's the title of the episode. All right. So
I hate the name "The Last" anything in Star Wars, but keep
oh
going.
gosh, get over it. Get over it.
It's time for
So-
that joke to end.
Yes. Yep. Definitely. I got it. So
Thank you.
they're in contact. Bad Batch and Rex. They're in contact with Wolf on how they're going to sneak onto Camino. And so Wolf, he explains that how once a month there is a major supply convoy that goes to Camino just to restock supplies. And so that happens once a month. And he said that would be an easy way to bring nano droids to Camino. Just if you could, fake your way into the convoy and one of the ships, bring the nano droids on board, and just get on Camino that way. That's basically the only, safe way, or one of the easiest ways. They couldn't just show up on one of their own ships and just land like, hey, I got some boxes I got to bring in. And like, they're not going to buy that. So,
That's fair.
and so at this point, the base that we were at the last episode where Gregor was, they stole a ship there, a larger ship, and at this point, the Empire does not know that base was attacked, and so they feel that they can use this ship. They can kind of like reprogram the beacon a little bit so that they don't know that it's kind of.
You're talking about the base where Gregor was, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Empire does not know yet that has been attacked.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Right. And so, because before they went attack the base, they jammed communication. So like,
Yeah,
they
I
wouldn't have
got
been
you.
able to send out a distress signal or anything like that. And so, he's like, all right, we'll use that ship, and we'll just kind of reprogram the beacon a little bit. So when you go to the planet where they do all have the supplies that they ship out from, they would be able to get in, drop off the supplies, and then get onto one of the ships that would be going to Camino. And so, all right, this is going to be the best shot. So they do that. They go to a planet that's used by the Empire to bring supplies throughout the galaxy, and it's like a contact point. And so it's a really big, busy planet. And so all they send, though, is the nanodroids with tech and 10 other random clones. And so those are the only ones that will be going to Camino initially. And so, because obviously, Bad Batch, they're going to stick out. And so tech would be probably the best option to wear normal armor and whatnot as a disguise. And so he'd be the least likely to get stick out in a crowd. So, and they want to keep it kind of a low profile. So they're only sending 10 other clones to help Tech if he needs it in any way or whatnot, because he's the tech guy. So he's going to be running the nano droids and making sure it all goes through as planned. So they get to the planet. They go through the checkpoints, and we got these supplies that we got to bring to Camino. It's this, and this, and all right, blah blah blah. Like they use old codes, but they checked out. Basically that's how things work in Star Wars.
Classic.
And so the plan is once they get to Camino, they're going to bring the nano droids down to one of the lower levels of the clone facility and go to where there's an access point to the water system. And they decided that based on, their calculations that 15 of their 20 crates of nano droids would be necessary to run the operation in the time frame that they want. And so so they get to Camino and they do this. They bring the crates down to one of the lower levels of Camino where there's not a lot of activity. It's just kind of like a basement basically, but there's access points to the water line. So they go down there. Tech, he's there by himself. So they help load, kind of figure out how they're gonna get the nano droids into the water, but it's just Tech that's gonna be doing it because they don't want to have like a group of clones in a basement and like drawing attention to themselves. So, and I'm just to explain a timeline of what's going to be happening. I'm just to say they arrive there on a Sunday, and their plan would be to get the nano droids in the water system early Monday morning, so that by lunchtime on Monday, that's when the nano droids would be first being consumed by clones throughout the facility.
And then that would allow them to all be ready on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central to catch the Empire
Almost.
Radio Twitch streams. Sorry. I'll see myself out.
So originally the plan is if they were just to do kind of basic 3 meals straight with eating and drinking, it would take about 48 hours for the nano droids to do their job. Yeah. But with additional consumption, taking showers and stuff, they're hoping it would be about 36 hours. So that would bring it to about, midnight on, Tuesday night / Wednesday morning, however you like to describe midnight. That'll be 36 hours.
They'll catch the audio version then.
Oh, yes.
Got it. Okay.
And so they're hoping, okay, that's 36 hours, but then they'll be sleeping. Most of the clones will be sleeping. And then in the morning on Wednesday, it would be ample time for them to have the nano droids to do their work. And by Wednesday morning, they hope the magic happened and all of the clones in the facility have been saved from the nanotech. And so they do this. Tech, he unload early Monday morning, he puts all the nano droids into the system and it's just going through the whole entire facility. It takes quite a lot of time because it's a big facility because there's hundreds of thousands of clones there. It's a big facility, so it's going to take time. And so after he does this, Tech does this, it's kind of a waiting game because there's nothing really to do when you're trying to hide. So you're just kind of waiting. But what he wants to do is kind of monitor everything that's going on in the facility by hacking into video feeds and stuff. And so he moves to a different location in the underbelly of the facility to what would be underneath the IT department kind of. And he would hack into the video lines from underneath the facility. And so by doing that, he is monitoring what's going on, and he's kind of seeing, well, what, Kaminoan people are there, what's going on. And he notices that while he's doing this, that there's a lot fewer Kaminoans in the facility than normally would be. There's a third of what there would normally be. He thinks this is weird. So he's watching the Kaminoans, see what they're doing, and he sees that Nala Se is there, and so she's kind of the main cloner scientist or whatever. And also Nala Se's brother is there, named what you say, and so he's there.
What do you say?
I said what you say.
Oh.
Nala Se's brother.
No. Hold on. No. We are not
I've been planning that for weeks, dude. So don't take this away from me.
You dirty son of a gun. Gosh darn it.
What?
Ah, that was so good and simultaneously so bad. You know what? 1,000 points for you, sir. That was
right.
very well played.
All right. And so, all right. So he's, like I said, he's watching leadership, watching what's going on to the facility, and everything's good. Everything's going to plan. And so when he's doing this, looking at the video feeds, it cuts to one of the rooms where there's a lot of like computer screen type things that Kaminoans are using in their facility, whatever room they're in, and they do notice that there's a lot of static on these screens and we're supposed to imply that Tech, because he hacked into the system, that is causing some interference. And so the Kaminoans, they notice this, and so they call in kind of like the IT department to say, hey, can you take a look at this? Like, what's the issue? And so, and the IT department are kind of like maintenance workers that are like clones. And so I kind of envision them as like Matt the radar tech from the SNL skit of Calvin, kind of like something like that. And so they get called in, and they're like, okay, this is kind of weird. We'll have to go down to the lower levels and see if there's something wrong down in the lower levels. And so this is like, oh, this is not good, because Tech is down there all by himself, and some maintenance workers from the IT department are going down there. So Tech cuts down to Tech in the room by himself, and he set up a camera feed to watch the door that's closed that he's in. And so he sees two of these tech workers, maintenance workers, coming towards him, and he's like, this is not good. And he puts on his generic clone helmet to cover his identity, and then he hides in the room. But he is unable to obviously move his stuff and clean up his stuff. So everything that he was working on with all of his computers connected to the lines, it's still there. So when they come in, they're gonna see it.
Did he at least lock his screen?
No. Hey, he only had a few seconds to
Windows L, my dude. Just there you go. That's all you got to do.
Well, maybe he's using an Apple product, which sucks. So
hey,
shots fired. Boop, boop,
we're not
boop.
gonna get into this right now.
So he goes and hides. They come into the room. Oh, I should also say he accidentally left his rifle on the counter too. So he's unarmed, and his gun is sitting right there.
Yes. And he didn't lock his screen. What are we paying this guy for at this point?
Well, he's not getting paid anything right now. So
well, it's pretty clear.
Obviously,
he's unemployed right now. So
yeah, he is now.
times, you know.
So the clones, the maintenance clones, they come in and they see all this equipment, and he sees that the lines have been tampered with, and they're like, this is like, we have no idea what's going on. Like, we have to call this in, something bad's happening. And right when they go to use their comlink thing, out of the darkness, two little coin-sized devices fly out of the darkness and land on each of them and do a little shock, like an EMP device, and it shorts their comlinks. And they're like, what the heck was that? And then Tech runs out of the darkness at them and tries to go for his gun to stun them. And so he's outnumbered, obviously, 2-1. And so there's a struggle over the gun. They're both kind of grabbing on him, pushing him around. He's fighting him back, kind of like whatever. And he's shooting the rifle in the air, so you can see he's trying to stun him, but he can't, obviously. And so during this struggle, it goes into a slow-mo close-up of the rifle, and in the commotion,
Jeremiah,
yes, what?
This better not end the way I think it's going to end.
And a close-up zoom in on the rifle, and the little button that's used to go from blaster to stun, gets moved from stun to blaster. And it goes back to normal speed at normal distance, and Tech pushes the two away, bang, bang,
Bang.
and he shot a blaster shot at both of those clones and killed them on accident.
Boom, boom, boom.
No. Bang, bang. Just 2 shots. He just wanted to do quick 2 shots to stun them.
Got it. Okay.
And he didn't know that the gun got switched over to normal blaster fire. And so he shoots those clones and they fall to the ground. And he's just horrified because he did not want to do that.
He needs to call tech support.
Oh, gosh. This is a very emotional moment
I'm
right
so
here.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
This is the first time a saved clone has
I know,
killed a
I
clone.
I know. I'm sorry.
Because they've only ever used the stun thing. And so he's horrified. And they're like in their last moments of life. And he's like, he takes off his
He
helmet.
killed a brother.
And both the clones, they see who he is because they see the scar on his head. And they both say to him, "What are you doing here? You've betrayed us." And Tech, with like tears in his eyes, like, "No, I tried to save you, brothers." And then the 2 die. And so Tech is just horrified because obviously he didn't want to do that. And so he's just kind of sitting there with them on the ground with them and kind of like zooms out. So it's kind of just seeing them wide shot of him looking at the situation. And then it cuts back to some more maintenance clones that are like wondering like, what's taking them so long? We haven't heard anything from them. And they tried to use a comm link, but they didn't get any response. And like, oh, it's probably just interference because there's so much asbestos in each level that they can't they can't get through this radio signal. I don't know. And so
Black mold everywhere.
Black mold, like all that stuff. Like there's so many levels that doesn't work. Like whatever. And so they're like, well, should we go check on them down there? And like, well, we can do that. Oh crap! I just kind of like zoomed ahead on my screen 1 second. And they're like, well, no, we can go check on them later. We're hungry right now. We should go eat dinner first. So this is about 6 p.m. on Tuesday now. And so they go to the mess hall, and it's kind of like the scene in Attack of the Clones when we see the clones for the first time. They're all in the big dining hall.
They're just all eating together. It's so cute. Some of them are mid-growing. Like one's eating and they're instantly grow hair on their
Yep. And so so the maintenance clones, they go into the mess hall to go eat dinner, and it kind of like does a little like, it jumps around from table to table, kind of looking at different groups of clones just interacting. And if you're paying attention when you're watching the live action version, you see a lot of the clones, they're kind of like rubbing their sides of their heads, like they're getting headaches and things like that. And they're kind of like sometimes confused, like the lunch aide is like, do you want peas or carrots? And they're kind of confused, like they don't know what they want, like they can't think straight type of thing.
They want grapes. Yeah,
they want grapes. And so you kind of see this subtly. It's not like super obvious, but if you're paying attention and know what to look for, you can tell that a lot of the clones are having headaches at this moment. And it actually goes to a table, and some of the clones notice that them in their group they're all having headaches. And one of the clones is like, yeah, there's probably something in the water, but whatever. And so the maintenance clones that went to dinner, they finished dinner, and they're all right, let's go check on our guys, see if they got back or whatever. So so they try radio again, no response. All right, let's go down, see if they just need help down there. And so they're approaching their room, and Tech sees them on the screen, and he's like super scared and nervous now. So he makes sure that he has his gun in hand. He's just going to get ready to stun him because he doesn't want a repeat of anything. And so when one of the clones goes to reach for the access panel on the side of the door, he instantly grabs his head and falls to his knees in pain. And the other clone is like, what's wrong? It's like, I don't know. My head is just super excited. It just came out of nowhere. He's like, all right, I'm going to bring you to the medical bay. Like something's wrong. And so he grabs his arm, puts it around his shoulders, and like brings him. And it cuts to him going up to one of the main levels and then turning a corner in one of the hallways to go to the medical bay. And when he turns a corner, there are literally hundreds of clones waiting to get into the medical bay.
Just a lot. It's like Black Friday all over again.
It's like Black Friday.
Target, yeah.
It's like
on Black
all
Friday.
the way down the hall. But as you can also notice that most of the people trying to get in are actually kids and cadets. They're the ones that seem to be the most.
Is that because they're younger, so it's working faster on them?
Faster or harder, and they only experimented on fully developed clones, so they didn't know the effects it would be on the kids and teenage.
So like their brains are like actually exploding. Is that what you're saying?
They're not exploding.
We're gonna like come around the corner and there's just popping heads everywhere because it's all R-rated version.
No,
this is that child scene that Jeremiah always wanted in live action. This is his version, just popping.
Yeah. That is not an officially
I can promise
endorsed.
you that is not going to happen in this.
I was just making
in this series.
Oh, okay.
So the Kaminoans are like freaking out, like because they're overwhelmed. They don't have enough like personnel because they're shorthanded. Like I said,
You don't have enough ibuprofen.
The Tylenol is very low.
And so they're like, they're sending people like go back to your quarters and just try and sleep. Just like we don't know what's going on. We'll send medical droids to the quarters and we'll give painkillers there. And so they're turning everyone away basically, except for like the kids who are in the worst. They're trying to help them like directly. And so the medical team, they start scanning the heads of these clones, and they see that there's a lot of inflammation around the region of where the biochip is. And Nala Se, she's looking at this, and she's freaking out because she knows exactly. She's one of the few Kaminoans that actually knows specifically about the chip and whatnot. And so she says, this is not good. Like, we can tell that there are hundreds and there's probably thousands and thousands of more clones that are trying to get in there are having the same issue. And she's freaking out because she's afraid of the Empire. Like you can see that she is afraid of the Empire. And she's like, let's just see how this plays out. Like, we don't want to contact the Empire like right away. Like, we need to see if we can figure this out on our own and kind of.
She's afraid of the Empire and she doesn't want to be working with the Empire, correct? It's just like I got to do this because I need to keep my job and my head.
Kind of. This is what the Empire does. It does fear tactics, and she doesn't want to like disagree with the Empire or piss them off. Cause like you can tell that she's scared of the Empire. So she's like, let's just see how this plays out. Let's see if we can figure this out and never have to contact the Empire. And so when this happens, it kind of goes to a montage of clones going back to their quarters, getting pain meds, just kind of being in confusion and whatnot. And so they all go to bed. And it sees them laying down in beds, and then it kind of goes to black, pauses for a few seconds, and then you see
Christmas morning.
See clones waking up Wednesday morning.
Got a whole batch of woke clones.
And so we see all these clones waking up, and they're sitting up on their bed, and they no longer have headaches, and you can tell that they're thinking, and you can tell that like they're looking around like something's different, but they don't know what exactly. And so Tech, he's monitoring all this. Like, he sees these clones waking up. He sees them kind of like walking into the hallway and like looking around like, is this just me or is everyone else like they know something's going on, but they don't know what it is. And so Tech, he radios the other 10 clones that are hiding throughout the facility. Like, all right, guys, like, it's a go. And so Tech, he jams outgoing communications from the tech facility or the cloning facility, and he hacks all the video feeds in the entire facility, and a video starts to play, and it's Bad Batch plus Rex,
I was wondering how they were going to do this. Nice.
and it goes to Hunter, and he says, "My brothers," and it goes to black, and that's the end of the episode.
Seriously?
Okay.
We got one more episode. Take a chill pill. Like,
Okay.
literally 2 minutes from now, we're gonna get into the next episode. But
Yeah.
what do you
I
guys
have to
think?
wait a week?
Well,
If you
yeah,
want,
we
you
don't
can
have to
wait a week.
No.
That would have been
Um,
really, dude. If you would have ended the last episode like that,
that?
and
Oh,
like,
yeah,
all right,
that
next
would've been-
week, people would
that
have
would've
been
been rough.
so mad.
No, that was good. That was really good. I really like the emotional thing with Tech. All joking aside, I really like the fact that he accidentally, I never thought I'd hear myself say something like this out loud, but I really like the fact that he accidentally killed 2 of his brothers. Because you've done a really good job on 2 occasions, one with Tech and then one with Crosshair.
Mhm.
Humanizing them.
Right.
And that's something that I think that they had to stay away from, because obviously it's a kid show. I mean, like, you have moments in Clone Wars, like, spoilers,
3,
when
2, 1.
when Ahsoka leaves the Order, like, there's some really gut-wrenching moments, but I think for the most part it was like, I'm sad, and then they just kind of went on with it, you know? You don't see the super, like, raw stuff, so I really like that aspect of it. That's really cool.
Drew, any thoughts?
No, not really. Like Andrew kind of said, like, you did make it more personal. Even though Andrew kind of a little bit ruined that moment.
Okay, you have to admit, tech support is funny. That was funny.
Kind of ruined that moment for me.
You could have done it earlier in the episode, but whatever.
Yeah, I could have. You're right. You're right. It just popped into my head then. So
Yeah, but I appreciate it. And people are really happy that that isn't the end of this episode. So
That's what chat's saying.
that is what chat is saying right now.
yeah, especially our listener or our viewer that's in Austria.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're really appreciative that
they
don't
didn't.
have to
They
wait.
didn't just take
Because
a
it's the
nap and
middle of
then
the night right now.
freaking
Yeah.
wake up to hear the worst nightmare and then go
Yeah.
back to sleep.
Okay, so before we dive into the final episode of this
Ooh, chills.
this season, I think this would be a good time to take a quick moment and listen to a word from our sponsor. What do you guys think?
Awesome.
Yeah, let's do it.
You know it.
You love it.
You love it. You've heard it 1,000 times. Here we go. Hey everyone, Andrew here. I'm pleased to tell you that the sponsor for today's episode is Wesley Andrews Coffee and Tea. If you don't know anything about Wesley Andrews, you definitely should. They're an award-winning coffee roaster and shop in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and they make fantastic coffee. The awesome thing is that they have a subscription service that gets those amazing coffee beans delivered to your door on an either weekly, bi-weekly, or a monthly basis. Unfortunately, we're all being negatively affected by this virus right now. With that being said, what a better time to try some new coffee and support a local business. I know they'll greatly appreciate it, and we will too. After all, using the code Empire Radio with a capital E and a capital R with no space at checkout, when you start a new subscription at wesleyandrews.cc, you'll get 50% off your first purchase. I can't think of a better deal. Get 50% off, support a local Minneapolis coffee shop, and support your favorite Star Wars podcast. In the words of Emperor Palpatine, do it. Do it, everyone.
Do it.
Awesome.
And really quickly, I'm sorry. I just looked down and saw something on our Twitch feed that says someone is going to make me a shirt that has the script for that entire ad, but in the Star Wars crawl font on it. Like in this,
Dude, that'd be
That'd be
so
great.
cool.
I would gladly accept that.
Do it.
So
Can I get one too?
you know what? Maybe we can just make it a future merch item. Who knows?
You know what we should do is do that similar. Sorry, Tanner, I'm stealing your idea. But if we did something similar to that thing about our conversation about the first half of A New Hope is trash.
We could actually. That's our other long time running joke. Thanks to Jeremiah.
Yep.
Thanks,
But
Jeremiah.
speaking of things that are long time, there's no good way to transition. So from that, I did want to mention really quickly while we're here on the subject of coffee, we do have a special blend that the Empire Radio Podcast is doing in collaboration with Wesley Andrews called The Rule of Two. It is a Star Wars themed coffee. It's just the bag. Like, it's just really nice coffee. Like, it's not Star Wars coffee, but we did design the bag. We redesigned their bag thing that they have and wrote some cool stuff on the back, and it's all Star Wars themed. So if you did not get a chance to get that when we did the Mandalorian season 2 finale giveaway, or you didn't get a chance to buy one of the small batch we had, we do need 7 people that will commit to buying a bag. It's $25 a bag because the coffee is very, very nice coffee, and it's incredible, or at least it was to me. But if we can get 7 people together, Drew will be able to roast another batch, and we can send that out. So, as always, if you want a bag of coffee, hit us up on our Discord in a direct message, or in a direct message on Facebook and Instagram, and say, hey, I'd like a bag of coffee. I'm committing to a bag. We'll give you a number. Once we reach 7, we'll let everybody know. Drew will do the roast, and then he'll ship everything out once he gets the payment for that. So, yeah. So if you want that special coffee, we will make more. We just don't want it sitting for weeks at a time while we wait for people to buy it, because that kind of defeats the purpose of freshly roasted coffee. So, all right.
Back at it.
Take us away, Jeremiah.
Episode 8, Victory and Death. So I'll say this as a little preface. This was the hardest episode to write the whole season.
The one that you finished like 2 days ago?
I finished it 2 days ago. I've been working on it forever because
Oh, my bad.
trying to make
dude.
Was that a secret? Oh, sorry.
No, I was super nervous. Like,
I was gonna say, let's just tell everybody how unprepared Jeremiah was, Drew.
No, I got it done. I got it down to the last minute. But like,
If
it was
any
so
of
hard.
our ideas are in it, he came up with it first.
But it was just very difficult to get everything come together in one episode as everything's been working towards, and trying to make it make sense. And it is, my notes are literally the longest of all the episodes I've done so far, and like with both seasons. So like, there's a lot of detail.
Wait. The notes for this episode
of single episodes, not all the episodes.
So
combined.
this has more notes than the season finale of season 1.
Right. That was like a page and a half, I think, and this one's 3 pages. So, and I think it's just because I just write down more of the details rather than just me elaborating on the details while I'm going over my notes in the podcast. So
Right. Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I think I just wanted to make sure I had every point that I wanted to make and have it all make sense, just so I could make sure it was working as I typed it out. And so I hope you guys enjoy this finale.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
I'm sure we will. At the very least, the rest of the season's been good. So we have that, if this
But
bombs.
I mean, but the last episode has to be good, or
Okay,
we're not going to remember the rest.
Trying to
So,
relieve some of the pressure, Drew.
Jeremiah
Here's
has
the
a
thing.
lot of pressure on his shoulders, so that's why he's hunched over right now. and it's well deserved. He should be
I
having
will
a lot
say,
of pressure.
I will say this though. I will say this though, and this is really weird, but there is one part in this episode. When we get to it, I almost got teary eyed thinking about it as I was writing it.
You
So
would.
I
You
hope
would.
I hope you guys get a little teary eyed when and hopefully when
Oh.
it gets to that point, I can really like show the emotion. All right, let's jump in. So
Okay.
it picks up right where we left off last episode, and it's Hunter talking in this message to every clone in the facility, and he's explaining everything, every detail about how the story of Fives and
There's not like a speech. Like you're not gonna read us a speech.
no, there's so much going on in this episode. I didn't have time to write a 5-minute speech. Like, no. And so he's explaining, stuff with Fives and with Order 66 and how Rex was able to have his chip removed by a Jedi or whatever, and how Rex was able to track down and contact the Bad Batch because he was searching for Echo, and it explains everything about how they got to this point. And just like any of the other clones that we've had saved in this series, there's a wide range of emotions and reactions to what's happening. But also, all the Kaminoans that are still there, and they're watching this too. And so Nala Se is like the only one on the facility that actually knows of this chip. And so she's like freaking out, but she's freaking out differently than all the other Kaminoans because the Kaminoans don't know what's going on. Like they don't even know if what is being said is true. But it seems though that the oldest of the clones, especially those with field experience, those ones are the most understanding of what happened and most distraught because those are the ones that felt the effects of the biochip in Order 66.
Like the change in their head.
Yeah, like
essentially.
just like a lot of the other clones that we've had, like the ones that had field experience, they're the ones that felt the weight of the two personalities. And so
like if they were like kind of made after Order 66, they have no idea. Like their life's just like normal.
right, like they would have been given Order 66, but they wouldn't have known a change in their mind.
Gotcha. So
necessarily.
This is kind of weird, but so then would they feel weird not knowing? Like they knew that they hated Jedi and now they don't?
They know, yeah, that's basically
like it's
all
gonna
they,
be weird for them. Like
they
oh,
would
wait.
know that they're supposed to hate Jedi, but like they never experience any Jedi, so they don't have like firsthand hate. They just know they're supposed to hate.
they don't sit and just hate Jedi for 10 years, like, I mean, sure, there's animosity there, but like it wouldn't come out in full unless they were in front of a Jedi, obviously.
Gotcha. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just like trying to think of like
Yeah,
what.
so they're kind of like why do I hate the Jedi? Why am I supposed to hate the Jedi? That's where they're at now. Like
Gotcha.
where before they were I'm supposed to hate the Jedi. So that's the only really difference, but like they don't really understand like what's the big deal type of thing. And so Hunter at the end of this message says there's 300,000 of you in this facility right now. We can easily take over the cloning facility. We need you all to capture any and every Kaminoan you see right now.
Oof.
And if they're in a locked room, break in and capture them type of thing.
Commence, order, pee your pants. That's what would be happening.
That's
Commence,
just
order,
stole
cam.
that from that's the next line I know is Operation Peter Pants. Like that's
Nice.
what it is.
Called it.
And so the clones that, like I said, who were the most distraught and most understanding of what happened, they're the ones that are the most eager to do it. So they get their guns if they had them on them, or if there's an armory not too far by, they go get a gun to turn it to stun if they have to, and they go out and they just break into every room, capture every Kaminoan, and they take over the base. Like they were trained as they're military trained people. Like they break SEAL Team 6 like throughout the whole entire facility.
All right.
Super efficient, perfectly fine. Boom. And so when this happens, Tech calls in the light cruiser to come to Camino because they have the facility taken over, so it's safe to come. And so they get called in, and while this is happening, Tech meets up with the 10 other clones that came with him, and they start talking about, how everything's going and how they want to start evacuations from the facility. And so they learned while they were there that even though there is the once a month major convoy supplies, usually every 2 weeks there are major arrivals to the facility of just clones and whatnot. They're being switched in and out, rotated or whatever. And but they also said that, like they say, hey, have you noticed like there's not a lot of Kaminoans actually? There's only like a third of the amount there normally is. And like what we learned is that once the Empire came to power, they basically started taking control of the facility, and they're phasing out the Kaminoans and replacing it with clones to run the facility. And so they're like, we can actually think we can run this facility as clones without the Empire knowing. And so even when there's other arrivals coming, like we can just play like normal and they're not going to notice anything's wrong because they
Oh,
made
yeah.
it like this. Like it's supposed to be like this.
Yeah.
And if we keep the Kaminoans, in check, like they're not going to be able to, tattletale on us type of thing.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So they could potentially just continuously remove chips as new batches come in.
Yeah, that's kind of like what their plan is. Like,
Dang.
we can continue to do this, and
All right.
but every month when there's that major convoy that comes in, they would say that would be a harder time to keep their cover, but they still think it's doable, and they have basically a month now to prepare because they just arrived on that last one. So while they're having this conversation, from a distance, there's a squad of 5 clone commandos that are watching and listening to this conversation.
Of course there is.
And we get a flashback to 8 hours earlier. And these clone commandos arrived on Camino 8 hours prior.
No.
And so these clone commandos are not saved clones. And they are fully understanding that this is treason going on right now.
Great.
So they, they casually walk away and go to one of the hangars and jump in their ship, and they fly off. And as you see them flying off, this a note that you would watch when you're watching the episode. A storm on the horizon is coming towards the facility. Because normally we see it as a storming.
Yeah.
We see Camino is always storming, but it's
Yeah.
not always like that. But we see a major storm coming on the horizon as they're flying away. And while they're flying, they leave atmosphere and they're in space. That is when the light cruiser with the rest of the Bad Batch and other state clones arrive. They see that ship and they scan it, and then that one ship jumps to hyperspace. And so they're like, that's weird. There should be no reason why a ship is leaving from the clone facility.
Right.
And so they get down, they land, they meet up with Tech, and they're like, what was that ship leaving? Like, and then Tech's like, I don't know. What do you mean? A ship just left. And everyone's freaking the crap out, dude. Like, what is going on? This is not supposed to happen. There were no scheduled departures at all. Like, and so they go to the hangar logs or whatever, and they check it, and there was an arrival in the middle of the night that was not scheduled, and they they go on the log and to get the file on this ship arrival was a classified arrival. Like it's a locked thing. They don't know the details of what's in that, why they came. And so right then and there Hunter says, all right, well, obviously we don't know what's going on. We don't know if this is a bad thing or if it's just whatever. Maybe it was just like a random Kaminoan ship that was not from the facility that left. Like they don't know, but they're still worried, very worried. So Hunter's like, all right, go refuel the light cruiser, overstock it with supplies. We might not have a lot of time, so we got to get that done right away, type of thing. And so at this moment, it cuts to Tarkin in his destroyer. And it's Tarkin and his team struggling to understand all the puzzle pieces of what's going on. And it's, you got the nano droids on the screens, you have the tech facility, you have Nexu and all the stuff that happened on the Chogana planet. And he's just kind of looking at everything, and he's like, what are we missing? We've been over everything a million times. And he's like, why do they need nano droids? What's with the Nexu? Like, did they capture a live Nexu, or did they take a dead one? Like, they're just going over every detail. And so as he's looking through the details again for a million times, he, if you remember from season 1, when Rex and the Bad Batch initially escape from Tarkin, or from Tarkin on the moon, Rex accidentally leaves one of his data pads, and that's when they get the information. So he's looking over Rex's notes again, and he sees the note that the biochip is not fully human. And something clicks in his head and tells some of the clones that are with him to bring up everything we have on this biochip again. Let's go over this again. And so there's all these millions of files on this biochip thing, and there's subset files, more and more subsets, like there's a trail. And they find a file that was buried, like layers and layers down into details of this, that the Empire has on this. And it's buried, and it's needs a high level clearance to get into. And so, Tarkin, he has this clearance, and so he is able to type in his clearance code and this little like Easter egg thing. So like, how like everything's in like Arabic or whatever the language is.
Mm-hmm.
We would see him type it in Arabic, but if you translated it like to English, it would say password 1234. That's what Tarkin sent me. I would just have that as a little Easter egg for anything that would do that.
I really appreciate that.
And he's reading this file, this top secret file, and it says that the biochip, even though it's cited to say it's supposed to reduce aggression, is actually meant to enhance aggression with Order 66, and this aggression comes from the Nexu animal. And that's when it clicks in his head. And he says, they're going to use nano droids to remove chips. And right when he says that to himself, the 5 clone commandos that escaped Kamino arrive in his office. And he's like, why are you guys here? You should be on Kamino. And they say, there's a problem on Kamino, sir. And Tarkin says, oh no. Put in an emergency call to the Emperor. And because right then and there, Tarkin figured it out that they were going to use nano droids to remove chips. And there's a problem on Kamino. And he's like, they just went to Kamino and just started using nanodroids on Camino. That he just figured it out all in those few seconds.
Dang.
And he puts in that emergency call to the Emperor. And so then this cuts back to Camino, and it's Tech talking with the Bad Batch privately, and he is confessing that he accidentally killed 2 of his brothers. And so he is super distraught, and the Bad Batch are, they're mourning with him because this is the first time it's happened. And they tried so hard, to never harm one of their brothers. And so Crosshair, he is the one who is connecting with him the most about this struggle, because he feels that he's responsible for some deaths of his brothers that have been saved, like with the Nexu when he was missing shots and stuff. And so it's kind of like a very emotional moment. And then while this is happening, Hunter, he kind of gently breaks the tension a little bit, and he's like, Tech, we got to start doing nano retrieval from the water system. We got to get back our nano droids. And so, Tech, he wipes his tears away. He's like, all right, sir, we can get started on that. And so they go back down to the water access part of the facility, and they figured out that they can retrieve about 1 crate's worth of nanodroids every hour. So they put 15 crates in, so taking probably about 15 hours to get, but they're also thinking, well, maybe it'd be a little less because there's still nanodroids in most of the clones, probably, like they still have them in their system. So
Right.
they're thinking somewhere like they're still going to take them hours and hours and hours to get this done. So they start that process. And then they get an inventory on all the starships that are on the facility. And there is 1 medium-sized transport ship that would carry about 100 people, 20 small transport ships that would cover 25 clones each ship, and so that's a total of 500 between the 20 ships. And then there's 200 starfighters on the facility. So that's all the ships that they got, plus their own light cruiser. And so,
Dang.
and the light cruiser, it's kind of meant for, like, I think I read it on Wikipedia, it's like 200 people, but they're gonna try and shove as many people in there as they can, like 250 if they can or whatever. And so
you're saying that no one's wearing a seatbelt?
some of them are, some of them aren't. They're just holding on. They're holding on to the ring right above them the whole time.
Gotcha. It's like the bus.
I was gonna say, what you're saying is that there are gonna be hundreds of thousands of clones that won't fit.
That won't fit. No.
GG.
And so, but they were thinking like they were going to have months and months and months to slowly
Escape.
get people off the facility.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, but they don't know what's going on with that ship that left. So it cuts. So three is going to be about 3 hours after those clone commandos left, and then they eventually told Tarkin. So this is 3 hours later after all this, and it cuts to Tarkin finishing his phone call or his holo call, or whatever, with the Emperor. And Tarkin says, "I'm on my way." And he radios the bridge of the destroyer and says, "Set course for Camino." And then the Emperor, it goes back to the Emperor, and he calls General Cody. And he's like, "General Cody, the time has come. Execute order Avalanche."
Oh.
And General Cody says, he straightens up a little bit. "Yes, sir, it will be done." And then the Emperor calls 3 more destroyers and gives the same execute order Avalanche. So there's 5 destroyers now on their way to Camino.
What the heck is Avalanche? The hockey
so-
team?
Sounds a lot more dangerous than order pee your pants.
Probably a little bit.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And so it cuts back to Camino now, and the ship has, they refueled their light cruiser. They filled this capacity with stocking stuff, with supplies, but also leaving the room for as many
It
people
sounded
as they
like you
can.
said stocking stuffers for a second. I was like, at
They
least
got
they've
all
got
their
their priorities
Christmas
straight.
presents.
Yeah, they're
Um,
set.
And so when this happens, the storm that was on the horizon has fully arrived at the facility. So it's just a raging storm, kind of like how we see it, when Obi-Wan arrives to the base and whatnot. And while this happening, Commander Wolf, he radios those on the Bad Batch on Camino, and he tells them the Empire is on their way to Camino. There are 5 destroyers on their way, and he said a squad of clone commandos were there and left, and those clone commandos were Bad Batch's temporary replacements. And he says that the 5 destroyers have been ordered to sink the entire facility.
Oh gosh,
And
wonderful.
and Wolf says that he is in one of those 5 destroyers on its way. And he says we will be there in 2 hours. And so clearly Bad Batch is not having a good time right at this moment.
They're not.
And
They're not really
they're-
bad. They're kind of.
they're freaking out. Like they're arguing. They're not knowing what to do, and they don't know what to do because there's 300,000 clones, and they have enough room for like less than 1,000 ways to evacuate for 1,000 people. So like they don't know what to do. And Crosshair, he kind of starts blaming himself because this whole Camino thing was his idea from the start, and he's blaming himself. And
Look, this is not the time, Crosshair.
Such a baby. He always blames himself for everything.
oh gosh, he's having a hard time. Okay, you'd be crying too right now.
Dang,
and feeling
dude.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh. So the Bad Batch, where their kind of like base is inside the area where they have Nala say with them, because she's kind of like one of the main leaders. So like they want to make sure they have their eyes on her. So she's there with them when they get this news, and she says, "Hey, I can help you guys." And she's like, "Have you noticed that there are far fewer of us at this facility than you're used to?" And she's like, "The Empire, they started taking over the facility after they came to power, and they're making us Kaminoans, dispensable. And we feel we have been betrayed by the Empire." And she says, "We have our own Kaminoan ships, and we can use those to evacuate the children and to the cadets here. At least we can do that."
Right.
Like, they're so children's. If we can save anyone, let's save the kids. And he says, "Let me make a call to, Kaminoan government or whatever." And they're like, "Well, why should we trust you? Like, you knowingly placed these chips in us, and you betrayed us." And she's like, "We didn't know the full extent of what the inhibitor chip was that Lord Tyrannus gave us. Like, we thought it was just for like a case-by-case basis for like if a Jedi were to go rogue, like we were told. We had no idea it was going to be a large-scale thing." And they're like, like what is there to lose to let me make this call? Because the Empire is on its way, and they're going to sink us. Like, we're going to die too. Us Kaminoans are going to die too. So like, I can offer help. We have 2 hours to get these kids out of here. We're your only option. And Rex says, she's right. Like, it makes sense. Like, she's our only option. And Hunter says, make the call to the government and tell us tech to unjam outgoing transmissions.
Would you say she's our only hope?
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so she calls the government, the Kaminoan government, and they don't believe what she's saying. Like, why would they believe this type of thing? And but then like the Bad Batch, they go into the video feed and reveal themselves, and obviously they know who the Bad Batch is and how that they've become, you know, uh, the Empire's
Bad to the
yeah, like
Empire.
them, yeah. So then they explain that they have Wolf on the inside, that told them this, and so Nala Se is then able to convince them to send transports. Um, and so the ships would be able to arrive an hour before the destroyers would get there. And so,
That's
um,
so close.
and when so the ships that they're going to be sending, these transport ships, um, they are they can go underwater as well. And so when a ship is filled to capacity, it would then dive into the sea to hide. And there's underwater facilities that the Empire is unaware of. So they would bring all the kids there.
Oh, cool.
Um,
Like Naboo.
yes, like Naboo. All the fun of Naboo with none of the Gungans. This way, so you
I
don't have
feel
to worry
like
about
that's
that.
not that fun.
All right, but
All right.
but now at this point, um, the Bad Batch is like, what do we say to the hundreds of thousands of clones that are here that cannot escape this facility? Like,
I got it. You snooze, you lose. Sincerely, the
this is why you are not writing a fan fiction, and I
That's a
am.
good point.
Damn.
Yeah, it's good.
So this was the hardest part for me to come up with because, like, I was so ambitious with this episode that I didn't really consider this part of the episode of like how they're going to address these clones. And so, if there's anything in this episode that is convenient and easy, it's this because I had no idea because I was stressing out like crazy how to get this in here.
That's fair.
So,
That's fair.
they decided that they're gonna tell all the clones straight out like what the problem is and what's gonna happen.
Okay.
They don't want to lie. They don't want to like lie to them like it's a surprise when the Empire gets there and then they just die. Like they didn't want to do that, and so so I did kind of like write out a little bit of like what would be directly stated in this. So like Tech, he makes the broadcast, and Hunter he addresses and he says that he's like, brothers, we have failed you. Wolf has informed us that a group of clone commandos escaped this morning and reported what happened here. The Empire has sent 5 destroyers to destroy and sink this entire facility. The Kaminoans are sending their own transports to evacuate the kids and cadets to hidden underwater facilities, but we only have the means to evacuate no more than 950 of us before the Empire arrives. And he says, we're going to give 2 options of how this will all play out. He says, we Bad Batch and those who we brought here on our own ship, we will all stay here and die together as free brothers and no longer slaves of the Empire. Or we can randomly select those who can fill all 950 seats of the capacity with proper balance of pilots, medical officers, and engineers, etc. That way, it's random and there's no favoritism or anything like that. And surprisingly, none of the clones in the facility are angry, but they're just very broken with the situation. And Hunter tells them that everyone, all the clones here, will get a vote on what will happen. You can vote for the option majority rules, and we'll go with that. and he understands like this is an impossible situation, so there's no good outcome, but this is the only two options we could come up with. And so Tech, he sends a link to a Survey Monkey thing to do their little voting thing. And
Wait,
what?
they send out a Survey Monkey survey.
Well, you got to make a vote thing anyway. Like, not
Quick, everyone, check your emails.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, they have it all in their little
The
wrist thing,
subject
like-
line is going to read, "Do the survey or you're going to die." You click on that. You go to the link. It'll be really quick.
Yeah.
It could
So
be in
he
your
sent-
spam, so make sure you check your spam.
Yeah, check your spam. Check your spam.
Check everything.
So all the clones vote, and
They all want to
Surprising-
die.
surprisingly, 100% of the votes went one way. And it was to have the 950 escape to fight so they can potentially save more brothers. That
Oh.
they would rather have more brothers saved than for it just to end here and have the Empire continue with brothers being enslaved and brainwashed.
Ooh.
And so Bad Batch, they're like, it has been decided. And, Tech, he does, hacks into the database of all the clones that are there and what they're trained in and whatnot. And he comes up with a little thing to do a random selection of clones who will escape.
They actually all have to go to an Instagram post and
Yep.
comment with their handle, and then they select.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah. You have to do all three, and then we're gonna select your name. But if you did do all three, your name's not being put in. Yeah.
And so they do this. The 950 clones are selected, and this is about an hour out from when the destroyers are supposed to arrive. And so then this is where Bad Batch, they're like, all right, what supplies do we need? Like, how can we use these other ships? And so what they decided was that medium transport that would have 100 people in it, they would just stockpile that with supplies. Like, there's no one in that ship, but everyone else will be in the light cruiser, the small transports, and the 200 starfighters. And so that medium-sized transport is just filled with supplies, food, fuel, weapons, whatever they need, as much as they can get in there. And so after they do this, Bad Batch is helping coordinate with Nala Se to get the others to help load the transports for the children. And so they're running around, and they run along one of the corridors that overlooks where all the unborn clones are. So we've seen that images in the movies and the Clone Wars of all the, the test tube babies, or whatever you want to call them.
Right.
The Snokes. Yeah.
Yep. And so when they come to this opening and they can see this inside this facility, the Bad Batch all stop and they just look out there. And there's hundreds of thousands of these unborn clones. And Crosshair says, "What about them?"
Oof.
And Nala says, "There's nothing we can do. If we remove any of those canisters, from the structure, they'll die within minutes," type of thing. And so the Bad Batch, they're looking out with sorrow and they're crying and they're just like,
Is this the part that you're tearing up?
"No, this is not.
Oh,
Worse. This is.
okay.
It gets worse."
Great.
Okay.
And so Crosshair says, "I don't want them to die here alone. I will stay with them and die with them." And Nala Se says to him, "You were created for a unique purpose, Crosshair. It was to be an elite Jedi killer, but you have been reborn and you have a new purpose. You are not a reg. You are not a clone. You are Crosshair, and Clone Force 99 needs you more than ever. Your brothers need you. You can help them save more." And Crosshair, he kind of gets it. Like he understands what's being said, but he's kind of still distraught like about all those unborn babies that are clones that are going to be killed.
Sure.
And Wrecker comes up to him and says, you know, brother, we need you to help us. We need you. He says, I need you, Crosshair.
Oh, I need you.
That was not.
Okay.
You ruined the moment. Gosh. And
Dang
Crosshair
it.
looks up
Dang it,
at
Drew.
them. He looks up at his brothers, the Bad Batch, with tears in his eyes, in his eye, I should say. And he says, all right, I'll go with you guys. And so then they continue on. And so then there's Hunter asks for an update on the nano retrieval. And it says that by the time they can retrieve stuff, load it up, and get it on the ship before the Empire gets here, they're only going to be able to retrieve about 4 of the 15 crates worth. And so that would leave them with 9 of the 20 that they originally stole. So when they leave, they'll have a total of 9 crates worth of nano droids. And so then there is a montage of supplies being loaded on, ships being filled up, kids and cadets going on to transports, filling up, and then having the ships drop into the sea and disappear. And while this is happening, alarms go off in the facility, and the 5 destroyers have arrived. And everyone's like, we need more time. We're not ready for this. Hunter commands all the clones that have not, entered their ships, get there now. We got to go in a few minutes type of thing. And it cuts to General Cody, who is taking the lead on this order avalanche. And he commands to the all the ships, lock onto facility and fire at will.
Freaking Cody.
But the scanners cannot lock onto the facility because of the large storm that is over it.
Oh.
So there can't be an orbital strike because they can't lock onto facility.
Avalanche indeed.
What?
Because storms, I don't just.
No, we don't know what you're talking about. And so
Oh boy.
Cody says, we must enter the atmosphere and get below the clouds in order to lock on. And he says this is going to take an extra 20 minutes. So they're to get an extra 20 minutes to load and get off the planet. So then it cuts to Tarkin. And he's able to do a thermal scan of the facility. So you can see the heat, obviously, with thermal scan. And he sees that warm transports are there, and they're being loaded up, and they're disappearing. And he's like, there's underwater transports that are being loaded and dropping into the sea. And he's like, they knew we were coming. And he's like, they had to have had help to warn them, and it's someone on one of these 5 ships. So Tarkin knows that there's at least one person within these 5 ships that is a contact for the Bad Batch.
It was General Hux.
Possibly. Well, I'll write that in when we get to season 3.
Thanks for humoring me. I appreciate it.
Let's see. And so this is when they're trying to plan out how to leave the base now, the Bad Batch. And so they want to move out of range of the destroyers, the ships. And so when the destroyers lower themselves down low enough so where they can lock on, where it get through the clouds, that's when they would go, try to leave atmosphere and get to the hyperspace. Because if they're locking on a facility, they're not going to be able to lock on us type of thing. And they'll be a far enough distance away that even if they were to lock on us, we would still be able to get away. And so first what they do is they send the medium transport with all their supplies first. They want to get that one out of the range because that's all their supplies. And so they send it out, and then they send the 200 star fighters out to join that transport. And they're kind of just in a circling motion, waiting. And Now they're just waiting for the time of they're trying to buy as much time as they can, and while they're waiting for the destroyers to get down, and they're anticipating that they're going to launch the Imperial starfighters are going to be released, and so they're going to be ready for that too. And so when they can kind of feel like, all right, they're going to be here in a few minutes, that's when the light cruiser they leave and join the medium transport and the starfighters at a far distance. And so while this is happening and they're kind of waiting, it cuts to all the clones that are left behind in the facility to die. And so obviously they're all super distraught and sorrowful, and they're just ready, they're getting themselves ready to die. And one of the clones, in a large gathering of clones, says that he is not going to hide from the Empire in this moment. He wants to see his killers. So he puts on his helmet and he runs outside into the storm on one of the whatever tarmacs or whatever, and he stares up at the storm. And then you see another one join him, and another one, and another one, and then dozens are coming out, and then hundreds are coming out, and then you see people, clones from other of the buildings, looking out the window and seeing this happening, and then they start doing it. So they're all going outside onto the platforms and looking up at where they know the destroyers are going to emerge, and then like the walkways that have windows, those are all filled with clones looking out, and they all start to lock arms together, and they start saying the line that Rex always used: "We are one of the same heart, same blood." And they're all just chanting this, reciting this over and over again. And this was when I got a little teary-eyed when I was thinking of them doing this. They're all out in the rain and locking arms, and they're chanting this over and over again, waiting for their fate. And so that over 200,000 of these clones are doing this, locking arms, doing this, waiting for this to happen. And they're looking up to the clouds, and then you would hear a variation of the Imperial March theme, and you start to see a silhouette in the clouds emerging.
Dang.
And one of the clones yells out, "Brothers, this is it. Hold the line." And the transport and the cruiser and the starfighters, they're seeing this all from a distance going down. So they see all of these clones on outside, gathering, waiting, seeing what's going to happen. So then they see that the cruiser and the transport and fighter, they see the silhouette emerging too. So all right, this is it. And so Hunter, he orders the medium transport to join the light cruiser, like next to each other, and then when that happens, all the star fighters, they kind of build a wall between those two large ships and those destroyers, and these starfighters, they have shields. So if the Empire or an Imperial starfighter starts coming, they're like a shield wall protecting these two large ships.
Yeah.
Or to say the small transports too. There. And let's see. So then they're watching this all happen, and they see Imperial fighters drop out of the destroyers and go towards them. And Hunter says, "All right, get to hyperspace now. Start the climb." And they're going up, and they're trying to get there before any of the starfighters, the Imperial starfighters, get there. And so it cuts to General Cody. He's like, "Lock on the facility and fire at will." And you see from the perspective of the escaping clones the facility just being destroyed from a distance. It's like a wide shot. You see it from a distance,
Ugh.
just getting decimated by everything that those destroyers have. Kind of like The Last Jedi. More, like type of thing. Like where it's just like everything that they have, full power, destroying the facility.
Dang.
And when this is happening, it cuts to Wolf inside watching this go down. And obviously, he can't have an emotional reaction to what's going on. So it's
Right.
him holding his reaction in and not being emotional in the midst of all this. And it's escaping. The escaping clones, they're going up through the storm, and Imperial fighters are getting in range. And the wall of the escaping star fighters are there taking damage with their shields and whatnot. But their shields are starting to lose their power, and the starfighters are starting to get shot down. And when that happens, the starfighters would come together to fill in that hole, and so more and more are getting shot down. They finally get to leave the atmosphere, get to space. The transports, they get to hyperspace. They get out. The cruiser, they make the jump, and one by one, the remaining fighters, they jump, boom, 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 like as fast as they can. And then it cuts to the cloning facility and the last of the structure falling into the sea, and the end.
Are you freaking kidding me? Ah.
But wait, there's an end credit scene. So we'll quick go through this. So 3 days later,
Okay.
it goes to the 5 clone commandos that reported what happened on Camino. They're in their private barracks on a destroyer.
Those scrubs.
One mentions that, he's been thinking about what happened. He's like, I can't believe that they completely sank the entire facility. Like, he was just shocked that they would do that. And another says that he's sad that some of his friends were killed. And another says he doesn't know what to think about what happened, but he's going to bed because he has a headache. And the other 2 said they had headaches as well. And that's the end of the end credit scene.
Ah.
So I gave you a little hope at the end. A little hope at the end.
Dirty
Okay.
dog.
Yeah.
You.
For those of you,
rebellions are built on hope.
for those of you that
Rebellions are
aren't
built
watching.
on her hope.
For those of you that aren't watching, the reason Drew and I were silent when we got to the first ending was because we were having physical reactions and just like our heads were going down into our hands essentially in silence to the ending. Frick me, dude. That dang.
I didn't think you guys were gonna be this distraught about this. Like, this is, I guess I did it well. I guess I got what I was aiming for.
Dang. So the facility got wrecked. Hundreds of thousands of clones died.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing the Bad Batch and Rex and all them were on the ships that got away, correct?
Oh yeah, I should have mentioned that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little.
And then it just ends. Like they jump to hyperspace and then it just ends. Oh my gosh.
but probably like 100,000 kid clones were saved,
I mean, that's good.
and they're in
That's
hiding.
good.
That's good.
They're
That's
still,
good.
in 3 to 5 years, you have 100,000 clones that could be a secret army.
That's true.
Broom kids
and
everywhere.
it is interesting. It is interesting that that the commandos were having that reaction.
And
That's
you did
that's
say,
really
like,
good.
in the first episode or whatever, that there's gonna be clone commandos in this season, and we got Gregor and we got this squad.
Oh man. Okay, I'll tell you this. that was good storytelling.
Yeah, that was
That's
good.
good to hear.
That was really good.
That was sweet.
That was a great ending. A great ending to the season. And none of the Bad Batch died.
No.
Yes.
A lot
you
of
think-
people died.
Did you think that Crosshair was gonna die when I brought that up about he was gonna stay and die with?
No.
No.
I just thought someone
I think he's still depressed about his eye. Like, let's be real.
I thought someone was not necessarily was just going to stay behind and get wrecked, but like I thought one of them was going to try to make like a last stand effort and go out fighting.
See,
I
originally-
actually thought Vader was going to show up,
Ooh.
and that's how one of the Bad Batch dies because they were meant to be Jedi killer, and they try to take him out.
That's season 3 content.
Originally, like months and months ago, when I was thinking of this season, one of the ideas that I had was that it would have just been Echo and Tech that went to Camino, and they would do this mission, and all the same stuff would happen. Like the destroyers would come and destroy it, but it would just be them trying to escape as it was being destroyed. And it would be something like Echo was running to get to the ship that Tech was in.
Oh no!
And then, like the ground beneath him fell, and they couldn't like catch his hand or whatever when he was jumping. Like I was gonna be something like
Little
that.
claw.
Yeah. What was the sound? What was it?
I'm not doing it again.
So I was thinking of doing that.
Bam, bam,
throwing
bam.
off like Echo or something. No, boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom.
come on. So we have
What do we got in the chat?
We've got Tanner says I'm still in shock. He also said when it happened, we got capital W space O W, so W space O space W. So wow, in all caps. Yeah, we've got someone thought Tech was gonna die, but basically the people that were watching loved it.
That's good.
All
Yeah,
all
those.
5 of them.
All 5 of them.
Hey, that's more than 0.
Did our fan from Austria have anything to say?
That was the one who said that they thought Tech was gonna die.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
With the T. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. I was happy, honestly. Is this me? But if Crosshair would have stayed, I wouldn't have cared. Does that mean? Does that mean?
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know. He's such a baby this season.
What are you talking about?
He's been a
Okay,
big baby.
hold on.
He had a
PTSD?
panic. He had a panic attack. Like,
This is a real thing that
just
people deal
charge
with.
your
Okay,
eyeball and just keep
Listen,
going. Like,
Drew,
come on.
not to make this super real, but I have dealt with anxiety and panic attacks before.
I have
and it's
too, but
It's a real thing.
no.
Like,
Okay, I have
em-
too.
I empathized with him, and so
Oh,
like I
yeah.
said, Jeremiah made
Sure.
him human.
Yeah.
And
No.
so I'm like, I remember what it's like to be crippled by those sorts of things, you know? And so, I don't know.
I
was a
get
little
that,
mean.
but I don't know. I was like, okay, go ahead, stay with the.
Oh boy, we have someone in the chat, Tanner, saying, "Are you calling PTSD survivors babies?"
No, I am not saying that. That's so aggressive.
I don't know.
That is not
good.
what I'm saying. I'm saying that he was being a little whiny because, like, his personality from like what we actually know that's canon, he kind of seems like he would throw off that like vibe, like just
But
like
that's his character. He goes from being
Yeah.
a hard and stern person to being someone who has more emotion and more.
I
Yeah.
understand it, and Jeremiah, I appreciated it.
And with Nalase's words to him about how his life matters and how
Yeah.
he is
no.
needed.
I like that scene. I just like me personally. If he would have just stayed, I'm like, oh, okay, well, there he goes. I don't know. It wouldn't have
all right.
meant.
Anything else by anyone else?
I'm
wanna say
being
anything?
real.
I-
It just wouldn't have like tugged on my heart the way that it probably will on other people.
It would have hurt me.
Okay, that's good. I think it probably should. I just don't care for his character in general.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
not even in Jeremiah's EU. Like, it just in general. So,
All right.
all right.
So, any, go ahead.
I was gonna say, that last episode, seeing it in live action, if they had the same level, I mean, I'm assuming they would have the same level of effects that like the Mandalorian has. Like there were certain shots that you were describing that I'm just sitting here going, gosh, that would be beautiful if they had like if we actually did like the one where this of the silhouette of the Star Destroyer coming through the clouds,
It's
and like even the wide shot of the destruction of the facility, like if it was animated well, like. So that's one of the reasons I'm a very visual person. So that's one of the reasons why I was so invested too, because I'm sitting here going, oh yeah, it's up here and I can see it coming through the clouds. And it's like as you're describing it, you know, I'm picturing it in my mind. And yeah, I would very much enjoy seeing that in live action if you ever do win the lottery.
Yeah, Jeremiah, so you know how you always say this in live action? Is it weird that I pictured all this in cartoon?
Well, not really, because but Clone Wars and Rebels had amazing animation.
I know this is your live action fan fiction, like
wait a
dream,
second, are you talking like Clone Wars animation, or are you like talking like cartoon?
No, Clone Wars like I'm picturing it like the last season of.
I thought about it. It would probably be easier to do an animated version than a live action version if we talk really serious about it.
If you win $500 million, you go big or you go home.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a while before he wins because he didn't win the last one. So
no, I played like 14 times in the past like 3 weeks trying to win two.
And he is doing it for all of you.
Yep.
Out there wanting this Bad Batch fan fiction to become a reality.
So if you're one of the 8 in here who actually won, feel free to donate.
Yeah, if you're the Mega Million winner in Maryland or the Powerball winner in Michigan, think of all the joy that I have brought you over the past year. So do you guys have any
thanks. Other people in the chat are saying that they pictured it like Clone Wars animation as well. So I'm not alone here.
That's fine because we've seen all this stuff in.
I don't know. I was like, it's not like just beginning Clone Wars animation either. I'm like picturing like season 7, the best animation we've seen. Like it coming from the. I was picturing it all in animation.
That's fine.
And it was really pretty.
So moving forward, do you guys have any theories on what's going to happen in the final season, season 3?
I think we're gonna see Vader. I think Vader's.
I want to see Vader.
I want to see Vader kill one of the Bad Batch. Just go ham.
All we know so far is Tarkin figured out that has to be someone on one of those 5 destroyers that was an inside man, and the clones, they only have 9 crates of nano droids, and we know that the 5 clone commandos somehow got nano droids, a small amount in their system, and it took them over 3 days to have those nano droids get to work. So they're going to be awakened by season.
I'd love to see those clone commandos help Wolf get out, because I mean, we know it's not a spoiler. We know from Clone Wars he does.
Yeah.
You know, assuming that this is for this point in time is part of the canon, you know, the overall canon. And, you know, he gets out. So I would love to see those clones, the commandos help him get out.
I would love to figure out how
multiple people.
I was going to say, before we get to the chat, I would love to figure out how they were affected by.
They probably took a shower or drunk some water or something.
Yeah, that's what it is. They took a shower. That's what I was picturing.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Gotcha.
That's what it was. Either a shower or they had a swig of water before, like, whatever. Like,
okay.
It was just be a shower.
But. Yeah, we've had 2 people now in the chat say they want to see Thrawn and Vader.
Ooh.
I would love to see Thrawn.
Dude,
I'm always down for Thrawn, but
Thrawn was getting blown up like pretty much this whole episode in the chat.
I would also like to see Vader, and I'd love to see. Honestly, I'd love to see like an epic showdown between the Bad Batch and him, and potentially one of them die.
Well, they say
Like-
they're
like-
all gonna die to Vader's hand. That's what they're saying in the chat. So, yeah, I guess we'll have to wait to season 3 to find out.
I mean, they're gonna have to rebuild. They're starting from scratch essentially.
Well, they have. Let's see. So, at most, they would have had 950.
Well, that's
And
more than they started with for sure.
Right, and so they lost starfighters, which I was gonna say about like 75. So that's 875 clones that they have in their arsenal with a bunch of starfighters, transport ships, tons of supplies, and a light cruiser. So they have a large arsenal of people and supplies. So
Yeah, I don't know.
Someone in the chat said, also, how does taking a shower help with nanodroids?
it would just get absorbed into through your skin, into their
Yeah.
system.
They're small enough to go through the pores, right?
Yeah, and if you
Yeah.
like, we've all taken like a swig of water, like when we're taking a
That's
shower.
literally
So,
what
like,
they said.
That's funny.
So
Yeah, that was good though. There's a lot. I
was
mean,
good.
I liked it more than the first season for sure.
right, yeah. Second season is way better than that crappy first season, but
Yeah, dude, come on. Like, you knew that the first season had a budget
yeah.
of like, it was a lot lower. Second
I
season,
had
their
to
budget
see how
was
much
like,
I was gonna get renewed for, and then
yeah, second
Right.
season was very high budget. So hopefully third season will be even bigger.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, Jeremiah, on behalf of all the listeners who enjoyed this, thank you.
you're welcome.
And thank you for Crosshair's arc. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there too.
Okay,
I enjoyed it.
cool.
And Tex. I enjoyed the humanization of the clones.
Yeah, and people in the chat are saying they like season 2 over season 1 as well. It's better. So that means your writing's just getting better, Jeremiah. So props to you.
Yeah. Keep it up.
Keep it up. Are you already starting season 3?
No, I have almost. I know how I want it to end. That's all I kind of really know.
Gotcha. But you don't know if there's a season 4?
There will not be a season 4.
Oh. Well, you guys heard it first. Heard it here first. Season 3 is all we're going to get.
But maybe I'll end season 3 open
cliffhanger?
for a spin-off series of some sort. Maybe. I think it's probably. I'm gonna do a Dave Filoni thing where he makes a little sketch of something and posts it on Instagram, and it makes you go through all these fan theories of what's
Can
going
you
to happen.
draw?
But no,
Ah,
no, I
Okay.
cannot. I could hire someone on Fiverr to do something for me, but other than that, like,
dude, I'll do it for free. It's not
or
gonna be
if
great.
if
I
any of
can
our
do it.
fans are good drawers,
That's true.
you
You
could
in the
do a
chat.
do a fan art and post it on Discord. And show us, how you visualized scenes in this.
Yeah, that would actually
series.
be
That
awesome.
would be so dope.
Yeah. Draw.
I know we have at least one artist in our Discord right now. We have to.
Yes. So if you're
25
listening or
25 of us,
watching,
26 of us, or something like that.
Yeah.
if you're listening
man.
or watching, that'd be super dope. Go check out our Discord if you are listening and watching it and you're not involved with the Discord.
Oh, but someone did, make a picture of Crosshair. See, the meme with the put me in coach.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
fan art right there.
All right. Well, just a little bit of a recap. If you want to engage with us, you want to take the Empire Radio experience a little bit farther than just listening to the podcast, which there's nothing wrong with that. Thank you for doing that. But if you want to engage with us, we do have a Discord. Again, you can sign up for that and join at the link in our Instagram bio, as well as a pinned post on Facebook. on our Facebook page. And we are doing Twitch streams every Tuesday night, approximately 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Depends if Andrew needs to get Chick-fil-A or not, honestly.
I would like to make note that I was actually like, sure, I got Chick-fil-A, but I had to get food for my cat because I went to feed him
And he had no
and
food.
realized he had none.
And you know,
How
he
do
was.
how do you run out of food and not know
Of
it?
his wet food. Okay, so he had dry. It doesn't matter.
Oh, he gets 2
Hands-
different bougie cat of yours. I
You
tell
know, he would have
it's
been
not
so loud if he would have got his.
Don't you have like a
wet
bag
food.
of Cheetos you could give him or something?
That would be cannibalism.
Oh, because his name is Cheeto. I see.
Yeah. Anyways,
Anyway,
what I was trying to say is we stream on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Central, approximately. If you want to join that, the chat is always fun, to say the least. That's an understatement, but just to say the least. We had one of our longtime fans, Tanner, at one point said, "Execute, order peas and carrots," and I was this close to losing it.
You were really close. I was watching.
really
you.
I didn't even notice. I was too focused on my.
I was trying so hard to keep together. But anyways, you can join us on Discord, join us in Twitch, and then obviously Instagram and Facebook, both at Empire Radio Podcast, and YouTube at Empire Radio Podcast, or Empire Radio, a Star Wars podcast.
Yep. And so
All
next
right.
week
Next
we'll be
week.
going over the High Republic.
High
novel.
Republic.
So I'm almost done,
what I'm
but not
yeah,
quite.
I will tell you, it has been, from like a 30,000-foot view opinion so far, one of my favorite Star Wars novels I've ever read. And I would wager that Jeremiah would feel the same because it's the only Star Wars novel he's.
It might be the best and the worst Star Wars novel I've ever.
But we're gonna discuss that next week.
I'm not
next
even gonna
Tuesday.
say how I feel because you'll have to just wait.
So what we're gonna try to do, I'm gonna try to get a nice, concise summary together, talk about some key characters and some key points, try to make sure we don't get into too many rabbit trails right off the bat, and we're just gonna do a nice, just general discussion of the book, what we thought, what we liked, what we didn't like, what it means for the greater Star Wars galaxy, all this stuff. So
it is gonna be spoilers, you guys. That is a spoilers podcast episode, but you know what? A lot of you guys don't even read the book, so come on and just get spoiled. It's okay.
Yeah.
all right. Anything else, boys?
Nope. That should be
That's
it.
All right. Well, on that note, you have been listening to another episode of the Empire Radio Podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Jeremiah.
I'm Drew.
May the Force be with you.
Always. Chat, thanks for hanging out. It was a good one. Good morning and good night to some of you guys. Yeah. It was fun episode. Thanks for hanging out. You guys get a little more conversation afterwards. So if you guys,
just a little bit.
just a little bit. But yeah, or the Cheeto batch is what some people are calling. So the Cheeto batch. So.
Y'all, if you knew how cute my cat was.
Oh, they all, if they're watching, they already know because half of its butt is always in the camera. So
Okay, but that's its butt.
well,
You know what? I am gonna post a picture of Cheeto in the Discord in a second, and everybody's their hearts are just gonna explode.